What's up everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Harrison and you are here for Tutorial Tuesday. Today we are drawing one of the most evil, mischievous, conniving villains there is in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe and comic book universe, Loki.
Your savior is here! Did you miss me?
Now today I'm drawing a very different version of Loki. It's not going to be the Loki that we come to know and love from the show and all the movies. I'm drawing a classic version of Loki from the comic books. So grab your pencils, pens, sketchbooks, and magic, and let's dive on into this one. In today's drawing, we're going to be focusing primarily on the head. So in the center of your page, kind of just off center, start with a nice circle. Add another circle just below that. Now at the base of this circle, we're going to put a flat line. That will be Loki's chin, and we can use this circle to help give us our chin. And this will be the guide for the head, just like so. Now we can start plotting in some other features, some general shapes. So right here, we're gonna wanna put in his nose. So we can give him a triangle shape for our nose. And then a box for the bridge of the nose. And then we know his crown is about right there. And then his mouth, which is sort of like a banana shape. Can go right in here. And then we have a lip line. And then his eyes, which kind of are in like a W shape. And right here will be where his horns come out of his crown. And just to help us kind of get the idea. Want to dash so we can get the sense of what we need to add some detail. And then his crown, the top of his crown comes up just over, kind of like a helmet. And then it's like fastened down to the side of his head. Now that this thoroughly looks like a mess, we can go in and start cleaning up some of our shapes. So for the nose, we can start here. And just define some of these shapes. Now for the nose, I cut into this triangle, pulled it down and rounded out the bottom, and then here I broke it off and went into the bridge of the nose, creating this kind of like crooked shape. You don't have to go as dramatic as I did, only if you want to. And then for the other side, I followed kind of this mirror of the nose, and then add a couple dashes to help give it that impression that there's the nostril. Now the next part we can do is add in his cheek lines, or his evil smile lines. And this will help us break into the smile. Same thing on this side. And then this one actually we can transition into the cheek. But here we can follow this and bring in the smile. And then, let's see, to get this other cheek line, add a that, thing on this side. Now to move into the eyes. So we're gonna follow this guide that we set up. We're gonna come in over the bridge of the nose here, swoop it, cut down, go up, kind of angle in. It's got like a little point at the top. And then from up in here, we'll just kind of follow this swoop over. And then this one just kind of cuts up. It's part of the shadow. And then this eye touches, the tip touches the shadow, cuts in, almost touching the side of this bridge nose, cuts in, comes down, and a point like that. And now the interior of his eye is a little tiny sliver of white. So what we're gonna do is just follow the path of this eye. And then the bottom part is going to be kind of like a triangle. The top will be curved, the bottom part is the angle. The same thing on this side. And if you have to turn your paper to help get that curve, I suggest it. So the top is going to be curved, the bottom is like sharp. Perfect. Now, one of the last things we can do with the facial features before we get into the teeth is we can add some, you know, detailing and creases and other things that we might want to highlight later on. Like if he's got some, you know, cheek marks or anything in the eyes or anything around the nose like what we were doing before. Let's see, I think that's kind of it. The rest will be shadow. And then now for the teeth. So we'll switch back to this pencil so that we can kind of sketch in our teeth. But what we can do now is just kind of split this in half as a guide. This will just help us get the shape of the teeth. We're not going to be drawing every single tooth because then it'll look really funky and something will look weird, and it's because you have a bunch of little chiclets jammed in the mouth. So we're just going to do a lot of suggesting of teeth. So we're going to round out this side, and this is going to pull down. We're going to create a shadow in there, and I'm just going to start shading as we go along just so that we can start seeing bits and pieces of the mouth that we want to focus on and darken. And then really all we have to do is just draw a little triangle, and that'll give us a gum line. And then we can move over the space, and there's another gum. That's kind of it for that top. And then on this side we can draw another little tiny triangle, and one back here, and this one can come down, and that can be a tooth. And then this part we can block off and shade. And then here give it a little gum. And then there are some teeth that, yeah, you can draw a couple. Like if we want to show that he's got some kind of janky teeth, like it's okay to draw a few, but the more you keep drawing and adding, it starts to distract and take away. So most of the time, just the suggestion of teeth is the way to go. Now I'm going to switch back to the 6B here, and we're going to thicken up some of the lip as well. Now that we have that, we can start going back up to the face and adding in the rest of our details. So for instance, like our helmet crown thing here, we know that he has this thing tied down to his head. So we can draw these straps. And then his neckline is like this. most of this is in shadow. And then he has some of these straps kind of billowing in the wind there. And then, let's see, let's start trying to move up into the helmet here. So what I did was basically took about the same length of the head and put it up here. I shortened it just a little bit, but maybe if we tilt the paper, we might see something that we're not seeing in front. It's always good to adjust the angle of your page. Sometimes staring at a drawing for too long in one specific angle, like I'm leaning down looking at it at an angle, at like a 45-degree angle, so already my vision is skewed. I really should be having it lifted off the page like this so I can start seeing things more at my same exact eye line. I really should be using my easel. Maybe I'll start doing that. But we want to make sure that things aren't skewed. But I think that looks pretty good. And then you saw I put a circle in the center, and then there's another little circle in the center of that. And then for the horns, kind of like these two-part thingies, like pretty much like that. And it's mirrored on this side. All right, now the horns are going to come out of it. Like so. All right, I know this looks really messy, so again, I'm going to take the 6B. And don't forget, I know I don't want to forget, but you guys don't forget that there should be a little ridge here, so you can add it after the fact if you want. Just like that. And then we can lock in the top of this dome. Perfect. And I'm going to switch back to my other pencil to add in the shapes of these pieces of fabric. Perfect. In the reference photo that I'm looking at, he has like a wool kind of fur or something draped over his shoulders and around his neck. So we can emulate that if we want, and it's just gonna add some textures here. We'll clean this up as we go along, and then primarily the rest of the drawing is just about finding our places that we're going to shade in ink. The whole top of this is a chrome. We're not going to get too big into the chrome look of everything because we're only using black and white ink. Because there's going to be a lot of ink, we want to make sure that we are plotting everything down that is very necessary. So what I'm going to do now is take my kneaded eraser and just go through and lightly erase all of the things that we don't need. I know it might sound counterintuitive, oops, but we really don't want a lot of these pencil marks because they might just get in the way. And we've already gone in with the 6B to help us plot the lines that we actually really want to ink. So you can see I'm not erasing so heavily that we get rid of everything, but it is cleared away enough that we still have our lines, we have a clean area to work in, and now we won't get distracted by what was there. So we're gonna follow the interior shape of this. Oops. Come all the way down. Interior shape. Get the edge of that. Then on this side, I'm gonna go more than halfway, and then swoop in like so. It'll help us, this little shape here will help us show that it's curved. And this is kind of all subjective too. If you want to get super detailed with the shadows and the chrome on the helmet and things like that, you can. I'm using a reference photo, so I'm pulling from something that's already existing. If you wanted to do this, you can make up your own shadows. If you're gonna make up your own shadows, I would just stick to a light source. You can see in the reference that I'm using that the light source is coming like directly at him, just like this. So the darkness is gonna be underneath and to the left. So if you're gonna do that, make sure you pick a light source. So if you're gonna do it from this side, make sure that all your shadow is primarily on the right, you know, the reverse. Otherwise, it could look a little messy and just like out of place in reality. All right, moving on back to shadow. All right, that should do it as far as plotting our shadows on the helmet at the very least. So, because there is so much inking, I'm gonna go ahead and shade in everything. That way I don't get lost in the process. Oops, see? That wasn't supposed to be filled in with ink, or with shading. It's a good thing I started with pencil first, and that is exactly why you do that. And this is our pencil drawing of Loki. This is awesome. I love this pencil drawing. I almost wish I could keep it like this, but I am going to ink it. And you can see now why I chose to shade everything in. If I didn't do that, I might be trying to figure out what I'm inking as I go, and I really don't want to have to figure out what I'm inking. Shading it in like this helps me figure it out. Like I also was working this section of his chin, and it got really dark, and you would just lose this whole edge. So I lightened it up. I got rid of the shading in here. I mean, even though you can still see it, I got rid of some of it. So it's just going to be some thicker lines in there, but it's not going to be completely shaded. So doing this really can help you figure out what part of the drawing should have a darker outline or thicker stroke before you just completely jump into inking and start committing to everything. Now there are a few like extra little details. But I think now I can start inking. What I'm going to do is use my dip pen and brush. I am trying to get back into that a little bit more. I feel like I haven't really been focusing on the use of the dip pen, so I don't want my skills to get rusty. And as always, I'm going to be starting this drawing left to right, top to bottom. There is a lot of ink here. There will be a lot of ink. There's a lot of areas that need ink. So this is an instance where we don't want to smudge our page. So starting left to right, moving top to bottom will allow our hand to not smear and smudge. I think it should work out the best. It always has, especially in this case. And there we have it. Here's our inking. Oh my God, I am so happy with the way that this inking turned out. I love it. I was getting a little, having some fun and playing around with the dry brush on the fur, and I love that. I think everything here turned out really great. I'm really proud of this one. At first, I wasn't sure how the entire drawing was gonna go, but I'm glad I just stuck with it and erased when I had to erase and kind of just let drawing tell me what it needs to be, and it is really, really cool. I have one more idea that I'm going to try with this, but for now I need to let this dry. This needs about 20 to 30-ish minutes. There's a lot of ink. I can see a lot of pooling wet spots just by looking at it, so we're going to let it sit here, dry, and come back and erase, and then I will do the next part. Alrighty, we have waited probably about 45 minutes to an hour to let this one dry. The ink was just so thick in some areas that it was not worth the attempt to blot it out or anything. So I just, let it dry, picked up the guitar, hung out a little bit, all good. So I got my kneaded eraser, and we're just gonna start going through and lightly picking up. We still want to be really light. We never know if there is still any wet ink, despite it being very clearly dry. Even to the touch, it's pretty dry, but you never know. Something might wiggle loose when we're erasing and break out that dried area, and then kind of unleash some maybe some still wet ink underneath. All right, that's it. There's the inking, it's done. There were a few spaces where I had to take my micron and just fill in, like in the mouth, around the edges, that some of the ink did lift up when I was erasing. So like I said, even though we waited all that time, there's still some ink that came up out of off the paper. And that happens, that's just the name of the game. When inking, you're inking, I didn't use enough clearly, and whatever was there kind of pulled up. So, it happens. Like even in the chin, there's some inking here. And it's okay. Like that's the whole point, to go back in and, kind of clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up. I even forgot to add these lines that were penciled in. I thought they were inked, but they were just pencil lines. So, that's all good there too. So in the comics, Loki is typically depicted green. I want to fill in all of the negative space with red. I want to give this like a pop. I want Loki to kind of come off the page a little bit. And I feel like because he's so evil, red is just the perfect color to make him pop. I just need to figure out which version of red I want. This one is a crimson. This one's a poppy, I think. Poppy. It's more of a pop. Stick that back there just in case it bleeds. And what I'm gonna do is just go through and give him a pop. I'm trying to think, do I want to put him in like a border or just fill in the whole thing? Now I'm like second guessing. Why don't we do this? Why don't I start with a border, and if I don't like it, we'll get rid of it and fill the whole thing in. And that does it. Oh my God, I am so happy that I put that pop of red. It just gives it so much more oomph. I love this. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, but as this whole drawing has been, it's been awesome and so worth the risk every step of the way. I had so much fun drawing this version of Loki. It is just so menacing and maniacal. I am so happy that this gets to live in my sketchbook. I had so much fun drawing this, and I hope you did too if you were following along. If not, I hope you had fun watching me draw this. If so, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and then once you do, hit that bell notification so you know when I upload the next tutorial Tuesday. If for some reason you did not enjoy today's video, please let me know down in the comments why that is. I would love to help you better learn the drawings that you want to know how to draw. And on that note, if there's a specific character that you have yet to see on this channel, please let me know who that is and I will add them to the ongoing list. I want you to know how to draw the characters that you want to know how to draw. If you've been following along with Tutorial Tuesday for a while now, please tag me in all of your social media posts. I would love to see all of the work that you're doing and all of the progress that you're making. You can also follow me on social media and see all the things that I'm posting frequently, as well as the other tips and tricks. Thank you so much for joining me in another awesome tutorial. I had so much fun. I hope you did as well. Remember to keep drawing, keep practicing, never give up. I will see you right here next week with another fun tutorial. Bye guys.
We are not doing Get Help.
Get help! Please! My brother's dying! Get help! Help him!